In the summer of 452 AD, the fate of Rome hung by a thread. The Eternal City, once the heart of the mighty Roman Empire, now stood vulnerable and trembling. The Western Empire had faded into a pale shadow of its former glory. Its legions weakened, its borders breached, and its people weary of war. From the east a storm had arrived, unstoppable, brutal, and crowned in myth, the Scourge of God himself, Attila the Hun. With his horsemen from the steppe, Attila had ravaged the Balkans, crushed cities and burned their names into ash. Now he marched on Italia, laying waste to Aquileia, Padua and Milan. The roads that once carried Roman triumphs now bore the thunder of hooves and the screams of the dying. By the time Attila reached the banks of the river Mincio near Mantua, he was less than 300 miles from Rome. Panic gripped the city whilst the imperial court cowered in Ravenna. Fractured and frailed, it could not muster a proper defense. So Rome turned, not to its legions, but to a man of the cloth. Leo, Bishop of Rome and Vicar of Christ, was no general. He carried no sword and wore no armor, but he wielded something stronger: conviction, diplomacy, and spiritual authority. A man of towering intellect and unshakable resolve, Leo had already proven himself a force of leadership in a crumbling world. And so, through Leo, the Church took up the shield of the bleeding empire, and with just 2 envoys and a handful of guards at his side, Leo rode north to meet the most feared man alive at the head of the horde from hell. Imagine the scene: the Hunnic camp, thick with smoke and the stench of war, bristling with rough tents, scarred warriors, and the clang of weapons being sharpened. At its heart sat Attila, a man both admired and feared. And then came Leo. No army followed him. Where others fled, Leo advanced, riding into the devil's den with the calm of a man with God at his back. We will never know what was said between them that day, as the chronicles give us only fragments. Some say Leo appealed to Attila's sense of honor, reminding him of the futility of destroying what was already dying. Others claim Leo offered a warning, that the Eastern Emperor Marcian was preparing to attack Attila's rear if he continued pushing south. More practically, some say that a substantial bribe was promised, and it is likely that it is a combination of all of these just said. But then, there is the legend. According to later Christian tradition, as Leo spoke, a vision appeared. Saint Peter and Saint Paul flanking the Pope, swords drawn, their gaze fixed on the Hun. Attila, seeing this celestial power, fell back, his ambitions withering like smoke in the wind. The warlord who ravaged huge swathes of Europe, who had watched cities fall like dominoes, who shook empires to their core, stopped. He withdrew his forces and began the long march back across the Danube. Rome was spared. For now. To the people of Rome, Leo was a savior, a miracle worker, a man who had stared down the devil and made him blink. He returned not in triumph, but with weary optimism, as even though Rome had been saved from the fire and brimstone that day, it was still dying from within. 3 years later, Leo would again be the shield between chaos and civilization, with less success. For when the Vandal hordes arrived in 455, he would plead with Genseric not to burn and slaughter. Although the city was looted, it was not destroyed, and yet again, Leo stood where emperors would not. But the encounter with Attila remains his most titanic moment, a testament to the strange and shifting power of Rome in its twilight. No longer a military juggernaut, Rome had become something else. An idea, a symbol, a spiritual capital, and in Leo, that idea found a voice. Attila died just a year after the meeting under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was a nosebleed on his wedding night, others whisper of assassination. Regardless, the empire he had built shattered soon after his death. Leo, however, lived on, his influence growing with each passing year. He shaped the doctrine of the Church, defended orthodoxy at the Council of Chalcedon, and laid the groundwork for the papacy to become a force not just of faith, but of power. In that fleeting moment on the Mincio, it wasn't just Rome that was saved. It was the future of the Catholic Church, as in a world that was falling into darkness, Leo lit a torch that would burn for 1,000 years. So when you think of great battles, of generals and conquerors, remember this one moment, when a man of peace met a man of war, and peace prevailed. Not with weapons, but with words. And probably a lot of gold. I decided to dedicate this video to Pope Leo's historic encounter with Attila the Hun in northern Italy in honor of the 101st Papal Conclave. This video represents everything I want this channel to be. A portal into the real-world events and locations represented in our beloved game. So if you enjoyed this episode format, do let me know in the comments below, together with liking and subscribing. It really helps immensely. Also, I am currently working on the latter stages of the definitive list of AoE2 castles for 2025, so if you have not seen those episodes yet, be sure to check them out. But goodbye for now, and thank you for watching.